The fact is, there's been no music that I just ultimately dislike that's been submitted. Now I have preferences to different genres and different things that when I'm listening, but yeah, I wouldn't say that there's anything I've listened to that I just was like, I don't like this at all. But yeah, some songs will catch my ear and I'll listen to more of it or more times. Like the couple songs I just played, I'm a pop punk guy, so I'm naturally drawn to some of the things that I found. But yeah, I listened to a lot of them this morning, so I don't recall exactly which one it was, but when I play it, I'm sure I will. Yeah, just to fill you guys in on just the amount that I've gone through and put in my nice little Excel spreadsheet. We are at 758 song submissions so far, and I think there's another at least 200 comments that I need to go through and write down, and I'm also getting the majority of these into a Spotify playlist so that I can come back to them really easily. That playlist is already being split up into different genre-specific playlists. So by the time that I share my Devin Song Reviews playlist, it will actually be multiple playlists based on genre, so that if you like a certain style of music, you're going to want to stick around and listen to the full playlist, rather than, hear a couple of pop punk songs and then a couple of R&B songs, then a couple of, indie folk songs. And so I'm thinking that that's the best way to do it. So I'll be releasing those once we get up to, I think the goal right now is to get, 25, 30 songs per genre on the playlist, and then I will be releasing those. So number one of the day is The Great War with Perfect Lie. What's up, John McCain? Good to see you again. Okay. Yeah, that is a really, really good song. So thank you for letting me know to listen to that. Very, very clean. So I was a big Finch fan for a long time, and so your vocals and your vocal style give me that same. It kind of just reminded me of Finch a little bit, which is really good. Everything was really clean, and the takeaways I would have. So one, like the backup vocals that came in and just sort of spread that for the main vocal, it was right on, was exactly perfect the way it should be done. The guitar sounded good, drum sounded good, everything was good. Being a little bit picky, a couple of things that stood out was we lost the snare a little bit and a little bit of the cymbals as well, which probably came from a bit of EQ scooping up in the mid-high range, which is where you would have a little bit more of the attack of the snare, and then as well as some of the cymbals. But it wasn't completely lost. It was just if you brought it up a little bit, it just would have had more of an impact. Yeah, like the song was really good. I will definitely finish up listening to that later. Like I said, just being a little bit picky and trying to bring something to the table that, we can always get a little bit better, even if the song sounds great. But that was a really good song, and I am very glad that you shared that with us. Yeah, so I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce your name or your artist name, Adalgeir. I know I'm screwing that up, but the song is "You're Safe Here," and let's check it out. So it said that this is a calm lo-fi type song. Adalgeir? I'm sorry. Typically, if I'm not I just don't know, I don't want to screw it up. So I got some tape filtering going on. Got some nice, smooth, heavy bass coming in. We still have the guitar that's going to sort of carry the theme of the song. So when it starts out with that guitar, you expect that guitar is going to be there as everything else is added in, which is what's happening. What's up, Seth? I'll get you, homie.
You're safer here than any place else. Now just lock yourself in and keep quiet.
What up? Welcome. All right, we are going to continue to cut some songs a little bit short today because we got a lot of people jumping in. I want to make sure we give everybody a chance. Yeah, that song, perfect, lo-fi, or like, I think you could also say bedroom pop. Just has layers that are being added on and taken away just to create some movement throughout the song. And that second guitar that comes in right there at the end, I would have played around with the effects that you're using a little bit just to give it a distinct different sound than the other guitar, because what's happened there is the whole song you had that main guitar was kind of had the foundation of the whole theme of the song, and so when you're adding another guitar to it, it really needs to be it needs to sound very different from the other one, because that other one's already in our brain and we've been listening to it through the whole song. So if you bring in another one, be really careful about sort of playing in the same frequency range, and play around with some effects and just try to change it up a little bit so that it stands as something separate from the other guitar. But again, I'm having to be a little bit picky with you guys so far. But yeah, very chill, and I think you produced it the way that I would have, other than little things like changing up the guitar a little bit. So let's jump into Ben Grenier with Carefree Love, who is hanging out with us here in the chat. Hey, thank you for the follow. Anybody that just popping on and decides to follow, get ready for more awesome content from moi. All right, cool song. Loving the vibe of it. The mixing is a little bit off, and here's why. The most common theme when I hear people working with rhythm guitars like that is they just get pushed too far out front and get turned up too much. And I have fall into this trap a whole lot because I'm a rhythm guitarist and I tend to love having the rhythm guitar out there, but I've had to learn to get over it and not have them too far front, because what happened there was everything else was sort of getting drowned out from the rhythm guitars, especially the drums. And then on top of that, the low end from the bass guitar was drowning out the kick. So bass guitar and kick share a lot of the same frequencies. They have overlapping frequencies most of the time. So what you want to do is be very aware of that and, make a decision on how to, who's going to get more of the frequency. So in a song like that, I would give it to the kick, and I would scoop out some of those overlapping frequencies from the bass guitar. You can also do things like parallel compression, to where when the kick hits, the bass guitar gets compressed. But I think with a song like that, I would just start with scooping out some of the frequencies from the bass guitar to let the kick come through a little bit. But really the two things that stuck out to me was that the kick is getting drowned out a little bit by the bass, and the rest of the instruments were just getting drowned out a little bit by the rhythm guitars. So be very, very careful when mixing those rhythm guitars, and don't try to make them stand too far front. Let them serve their purpose a little bit behind, and just let the vocal and the drum kit and everything just work in tandem together. All right, here we go. Y'all hang on to your hats. All right, so that is SuckrPunch, which is SUCKR Punch, with Brainwashed. Yeah, good times with that song. Feedback on the mix is there was a stylistic choice with that snare drum sound, and I feel like it worked most of the time, but it also made it stand out a little too much in parts. And then I would have liked to hear the melodic lead guitar a little bit more than I did. But overall, a very well produced song, and somebody worked hard on that. So I like it. This is Malcolm Hendrix with AWOL.
Constantly dreaming of better in life. Constantly dreaming of better in life.
I'm losing sleep that I can't seem to find. You see the demons I keep in my mind. Constantly dreaming of better in life. For the people I lost and the team on my side. I said scope on my mission till it rose to fruition. My vision fermented, I sip on my wine. cheese for the camera. Please understand that you do not know me, so don't act like we ride. I just wanna be alone, be alone. I just wanna be alone, be alone. I said, who the dude that new dude doing voodoo with this shit? Shooting through his noodle with a Ruger from the hip. I'm alone, in my own zone. My flow got cones in my area like cold. Set my flow got
like that.
cones like it's ice cream. I'm cold. Stand too close,
It's like you keep giving us something. If we want the next beat and you take it away, draws you in.
Baby mama keep your chin up, rent adjustments does, and I forgot which month. How we supposed to pay it? For real though, we're like a week from getting evicted. I'm literally tempted to kill myself. I'm really convinced I'm gonna kill myself. Swing for the fence and to feel myself. Sick with a pen, I reveal myself. With a bill of health, too expensive and shit, but I pinch in opinions that I convince myself. Sacks with the ops and the cops, steady watching. Eyes on the block when you walk with a Glock in your pocket. They pick and they talk. Get off skin if it's darker than his, then he's off to the ward and they paw. Shoot a pigment. All of the pigs went all over his shit. They killing in the mosh pit. War for a vision. War for division.
All right. Yeah, cool song. I like that part where you're kind of just, you're giving us something and then you're taking it away. It really drew me in to listen really intently there. The piano, I feel needs to come up. So the problem I have with this song is we're relying, and this is a genre thing, okay? We're relying very heavily on that bass. And I'm sure that sounds, that's exactly what people want when they're listening to that type of music. But you never want to lose the movement of the song, which is why I like that part where it was like there was very intentional movement of, here's something, stop, and then give it back. But the rest of the song was kind of lacking that movement. And, I think the snare itself could have come up a little bit. Again, this is not the typical type of music I produce, so it could just be a stylistic thing. But yeah, and then have the piano come up a little bit so that we have something to hold on to without being too far up front. But it would have been nice to just hear that piano a little bit more so that I have that common theme throughout the song. But I like the vocals and everything else. So that was a well done song. All right, so let's go to Krownest with a song called Disconnected.
What matters? What matters?
Fun listen, fun song. So there was another example of really having to get the rhythm guitar correct. I don't think that the volume was as much of an issue as I don't know that the distortion was right for that song. It was a very sort of high gain distorted guitar, and it was just kind of getting almost kind of like when you compress a guitar and it's left very flat, like it's over compressed and doesn't have enough of the you smoothed off all the transients, and so now it's just like a flat lifeless, I guess. I wouldn't say that was lifeless, but the distortion was just cranked up too high, and it was just too much of a flat, fuzzy distortion. And so it just created a lot of noise rather than being what the guitar was supposed to be, which is not that hard to fix. It's not a big deal at all. The bass guitar was very much outperforming everything else. So it needed to come down because even the vocals, I think, were tucked behind the bass guitar there at the end. And it's just, bringing in a lot of low end. That low end from the bass guitar plus the over distorted sort of flat sound from the rhythm guitar, it wasn't a good mix for that. The instrumentation sounds really good, and I like the song. But those were two things that just kind of threw off the rest of the mix for me. And again, two very easy things to fix, but the next time you're recording, the next time you're mixing, hopefully these things will stay with you, and I just listen very carefully for those things. It's easy to get caught up when you're doing the recording and you're mixing yourself in, like, what the song sounds like already, so the little imperfections don't matter as much to you because you already know the song. This is why I love doing this, is because that was the first time I heard it, and that's just 100% honest feedback from somebody who doesn't know the song hearing it for the first time. So hopefully that gives you something to work with on the next go around. Always play around with different effects, like distorted guitars. There are a million different ways to do that. And each genre is going to be different. Each person is going to be different. It takes a long time to find the tone that you prefer to play with in a live setting. And then there's probably going to be a different tone when you're recording a song. So let's listen to I Do Not Have a Coffee Problem.
Fuck.
That's a good start. I like it. Yeah, points for the song title. Hey there, HB Iulian. I don't know how to say your name, but hello. Julian. I can work with Julian. That works. That's a whole lot easier. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to just say Julian. Yo, what's up, Matt? Okay, the vocals are way too far back. All right, so mix wise, I'm losing my ability to hear the song the way that it's intended. And I believe there is just way too much reverb on everything, and it just sounds like I'm listening to a song that's in the room beside me, sort of. And the vocals there were just getting lost with the rest of the music, and so I'm not even sure really what the song is about, which is unfortunate because I like the vibe of the song. But I'm curious as to how that was recorded, what the situation was. It kind of had the feeling of everything being recorded together with like a couple of room mics, and that may just be from misuse of reverb. Not sure exactly what it was, but I feel like I like the song. I just couldn't really get into it because of the way that it was mixed. So be really, really careful about using effects, about using if you're miking up and recording in a room. You have to be very aware of what the room sounds like, so you don't get lost. But I feel like it just had too much reverb on it, and the vocals were sitting too far back. And but other than that, I like the vibe of the song, and I like the title of the song, and I like the way that it started out. And I just think there's some work to be done on the mix. I would love to hear more and see what you got. So there's a new song, Furious, of Violet Blue.
Blank Beats Production.
Everything is violet blue. It's her eyes and it's honestly attractive too. I can't look away, just staring. It's all that I do. I can't hide it no more. Love has it cute. I think I'm the one for you. I could never say hi to you. If you like something, you'll eventually just get it soon. No bad intentions. I'm just not in the active mood. You just have to look at my point of view. Your emotions I can see through. Bring it harder, boy. I don't wanna break it. I wanna show you that I'm really different. I respect your boundaries. Yeah, I know my limits. If I ever break a promise, have some forgiveness. Even if your heart is broke, the music's not finished. I request my song, only play 30 seconds. They think just because I'm young, I'm trash and I'm worthless. You never know unless you try. I still wonder when I'll blow up. My feelings have been growing from the start. My precious lady, you have a special place in my heart. Just tell me what you wanna hear. You ever heard of Furious? My heart is quirking ever since. I love you to the end of this world. Violet blue, it's her eyes and it's honestly attractive too. I can't look away, just staring. It's all that I do. I can't hide it no more. Love has it cute. I think I'm the one for you. I could never say hi to you. If you like something, you'll eventually just get it soon. No bad intentions. I'm just not in the active mood. You just have to look at my point of view. Your emotions I can see through. I'm different from the rest. How many times do I have to say this? I don't want to record label manager yet. If I had that, I would've really progressed. But what if they messed up my music was next?
Yep. Furious is on his way for good things. So we had talked, I believe it was last week, and the feedback I was giving was about allowing the lyrics to fit the song a little bit more. And I think if you did this from last week to now, because I think you said in the chat that you kind of rushed through to do a new one. It sounds like you're working on that. The mix overall sounds a little more defined than the one we listened to last week. It sounds like you're working on that, and I still think there's a little bit of room for improvement on just not rushing through. And again, this is your thing, and you know, people are gonna like that. Some people are not. That's fine. But when you're throwing a lot of lyrics at me, I just want it to be rhythmically in time with everything else, because it just feels better. It makes me more comfortable listening to it. So it sounds like we got a little bit of work left to do. It's not going to be an overnight change, but really get in tune with a metronome or a click track, and just work on your timing a little bit. You know, don't try to fill every little space with a word or something. Like, you know, let the song breathe. And you did that a couple of times. So it was just those parts of the song where there's a lot being thrown at me lyrically, continue to just work on timing. And if you can't get the timing right, it usually means that something's wrong with the tempo or something's wrong with your lyrics. In that one, I feel like some of those lyrics probably could have been changed up a little bit so that you're not just running out of breath putting those out there. But again, I will say, for a 15-year-old, I'm very excited to see what you're going to do. And if I can be a part of helping you be aware of where you can get better, then that makes me feel really good about what I'm doing here. So keep at it. If you want ears on anything before you release it, you can always ask me as well. So let's take that talent you have and let's refine it and get you ready for big things. A really good song can be a crap mix. It can be recorded on your cell phone with the microphone. Like, it doesn't matter. As long as the song is good, you can overcome the other shortcomings. But we're also talking about mix. A good mix can't make it a good song, but it can hurt a good song. I'm not sure where DistroKid came from, but we were talking about DistroKid just yesterday. And I now, if you go to the link in my bio on my link tree, there is my affiliate link for DistroKid. Now, everybody that's with DistroKid has the ability to come up with one. I don't care if you use mine or not, but you get a rinky-dink 7% off of your DistroKid subscription. If you're going to be going through DistroKid anyways, if you're going to be signing up, go ahead and use my link, because I think I get some credit, and maybe I won't have to pay the next time it renews. I don't know. But if you're going to be signing up for DistroKid anyways, there is an affiliate link in my link tree in my bio. You're welcome to use it. I highly recommend, if you're not using a distribution service already for your music, get on DistroKid. They seem to be the way to go. They haven't let me down yet. How do you collect on DistroKid earnings? So it's really not that complicated. So using a distributor like DistroKid, they are taking responsibility for collecting that money for you. So you have you set up a bank within DistroKid, and any royalties that are collected from any of your music, they will collect it for you. And then if you want to withdraw that money, there's going to be about a 2 to 3 month delay on, so if I play your music today and you're with DistroKid, it's going to be 2 or 3 months before you actually see the royalty for it. But if you want to withdraw it, you just link it to a bank account, and you can take your money whenever you feel like it. And so DistroKid also makes it really easy if you are dividing the royalties between band members or different artists. Like if you collaborate with somebody, it makes it really easy for everybody to get their take. But there is going to be a new process for submitting music for me to review. It is also in the link tree in my bio. There is a form that you can just include, your artist name and the song. And I'm asking for a short description of what the song is about. It will send me an email so that I can keep everything in one place. this is something that if you're going to be collaborating or you're working with a band or anything like that, if the royalties need to be split, you need to determine what that split's going to be before you release music. It's really hard to come back after the fact and say, I want 50% of the royalties on that. If you don't agree to it up front, you're going to cause yourself a mess. So typically, there's different ways of doing it. And so if I am collaborating with somebody, either you are paying for my session work, which is a one-time fee, or you are paying a percentage of the royalties, which I won't get into too many of the details on what those are, because they change from time to time. If you happen to be a very popular artist and you already have a big following, I'm probably going to want some sort of split of that. And so I would rather have a percentage of the royalties than getting paid up front. If you're already a big name and I can make some money off of your success and just get a little credit. So it changes for each situation. Now that question could also mean how much do you get per play? It depends if you're talking about like the artist where the money comes from. So like Spotify catches a lot of grief because they pay out next to nothing for streams. So if you get 1 million streams on Spotify, Spotify is paying you about $3,500 for 1 million streams, which in the scheme of things is not very much money at all. But the beautiful thing about a distribution company is it's going to all the different platforms. So if you get 1 million plays on Spotify, you're probably also getting, 500,000 plays from Apple Music and, a couple 100,000, 300,000 plays on YouTube and, all these other places. So if you're doing 1 million plays on Spotify, you're doing okay. So let's check out Feeling This Way by Evangeline, Beatrice, and Gregory, Lell. So this is a good example where they've obviously collaborated on this, and so hopefully they've got the splits the way it should be.
I've been feeling this way for some time now, babe. I've been feeling this way about you. Hey, I've been feeling this way. Got some things I've gotta say. I've been feeling some type of way.
Now you've landed in my house. We're sitting on the couch, drinking our thoughts away. You're telling me one thing, now I'm feeling something, feeling this way.
Wow. So that, boy, there was some emotion attached to that. I was digging that. It was, I like the use of automation, to, kind of slide in some of the instrumentation, and it had a lot of movement to it. I'm pretty sure there was some that was panning, automation going on. So I really like that. I wanted to hear more of the female vocal than I did. I feel like it got pushed back a little bit almost as a backup vocal. And then when she had her own part, it was still sort of being used as a backup vocal rather than a lead vocal. I would have rather heard a little bit more upfront mix from the female and male vocals going on. But I did like that. Yeah, so Connor said she has a perfect voice for the style. I think that's why I wanted to hear it a little bit more than I did. But still really cool use of the instruments, the layering, and the movement. Okay, Brian and Matt, it's going down. Let's check it out. Hey, so I already did Krownest. You must have bounced out while I was listening to it.
It's going down. It's going down. And now I know that I was probably wrong. 'Cause why the fuck has this been going on for so long? These burning fires light up silent streets.
Yeah, they're I have also added my new YouTube link is in my bio, in my link tree in my bio here on TikTok. So these replays are going to get very basic editing and being uploaded to this YouTube channel, so that if you missed it, you can watch the replay. So if you missed something in one of these lives, give me a few days to do some very basic editing and get that over on YouTube. So I have to take a 2-hour video and get it condensed down to about an hour 20, and then it takes about an hour to get it converted and uploaded to YouTube. So maybe by Tuesday this will be there.
It's going down. It's going down. It's going down.
Okay, right here, man, I would have had like 6 other voices doing that ooh. I would have made that so epic. Yeah. That's it's Brian and Matt. That was It's Going Down. Definitely brings the energy. Good mix. Good production. Good solo. It got a little like stressful on me there for a second, but it came out of it just fine. Yeah, I enjoyed that. I think really the only thing that was missing there is a lot more backup vocals. So, and again, it just depends on what your style is and what you're wanting to do. What I'm realizing is, to bridge the gap between like pop punk and all that energy and stuff, if you want to kind of grab a little bit more of an audience, production value of just adding backup vocals and harmonies will really make them a lot more comfortable. So I've been doing that a lot more often recently. Who is my favorite band? My favorite band of all time is Blink-182. And right now, my favorite band is a lot of bands. So I'm less into a single band and more just into music in general right now than I have been. But if you trace back everything about me, Blink-182 deserves to be called my favorite band, even though I'm not very happy with where they are these days. You know, you create music for 20 years and see if you can keep up that stardom forever. Yeah, like I will defend Tom DeLonge as a guitarist to my grave. He does not get enough credit for the amount of talent that he actually brings to the table. People just, unless you're a guitarist, I don't think you actually see it. And most guitarists seem to be very off-put by the idea that somebody that plays power chords can be a great guitarist. But the way that he has developed his tone and his sound over the 20 years that I've been listening, I got to give it up for him. I think he's fantastic, which is one of the reasons my little makeshift fake DeLonge signature guitar is my go-to. I love the tone that he brought, especially in the early 2000s. Just hold on, I have to acknowledge this. You said LOL, it's Sky Drftr, pronounced Sky Drifter. Like, do you realize it's Sky Drifter, but it's pronounced Sky Drifter? Or is it actually pronounced like Sky Drftr? We're getting off the rails. Okay, this is Sky Drifter, pronounced Sky Drifter with Best Friends.
Does it go? It's been hours now. The minutes turn to days. And tonight, as the time moves on,
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Saying that this is the only live that you actually stay in. Because we have so much fun. I tell you what, my buddy J-Rod's lives are always really fun to stick around to. He's a drummer, and it's fun to watch. Especially when you get rickrolled when you're not paying attention. Alright, so that guitar right there is a little bit too far out front, and that higher frequency that it's hitting it's kind of rubbing me wrong. It's just it's a little distracting from everything else that's going on. Yeah, it's just too far out front. I think I hear some distortion on the bass. I don't know if that was intended or not. I use distortion on bass a lot. It's really, really heavy on the attack on the bass. So I feel like that could be toned down just a little bit. That's something that's easy to do with compression. A fast compressor will attack the attack and calm that down a little bit. Heck yeah. I like it. Alright, so we just brought in multiple reverbs together, and it got really muddy right there with the reverb. Yeah, so we're doing gang vocals there at the end, and the reverb is not right with those. And the reverb was a little heavy on the main vocal as well. So I would actually bring the lead vocal up a little bit more by decreasing the amount of reverb that it had. And with the gang vocal, same thing is, don't get too heavy on the reverb, because essentially everything needs to sound like it's in the same room. And so if you're doing gang vocals, one of the things you can do is like put, you probably did this, but put each vocal somewhere different, panning wise. And then, different levels and different, I already said panning. But, so what I would do is I would take those gang vocals, I would pan them slightly different parts of the room. And instead of giving each one a reverb, I would send those to a reverb bus. So a collective reverb on those vocals, would bring it in a little bit more and make it more cohesive. But it was really, the reverb from those gang vocals was really battling the reverb on the lead vocal. So just a couple of things that can be cleaned up. So, but yeah, love the song, and would like to hear more. Mindcage Escape, Granular. Starting out with the toms. Speaking of Tom, here's Tom's. Where are you? Right here. I'm Tom's. Hello, Elder Emo Hours. Welcome to the Devin Song Review Hours. Hey, Mason. Sorry you snuck in. So would you care if I did my own review live stream? It seems like fun. Absolutely not. I'm not the owner of review live streams. In fact, I would love more people to do it, because I am but one man. Aw, thanks for the balloons. You just copy what I send you every time. Nice holdout. I don't think I could do that if my life depended on it. That's how you get the bass up there. Okay. Wow. Yeah, you're just trying to keep us tuned right in with all the starts and stops and awesome riffs and everything. Great song. Yeah, I think it was produced well. I think y'all did a great job playing all the instruments. Again, just to be a little bit picky, I would have liked to hear some more harmonies. I think there was one that I could key in on I think it was a little bit more than just a doubled vocal. But I feel like the lead vocal was a little too soft, or a little too clean. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what I feel about it. But I feel that it needed a little bit of help around it. And, so you can do that with doubling vocals, which I think was already done. There was a backup vocal that came in, and it may have just been a little too quiet. But yeah, I would say just add some more harmonies around the lead vocal to help support the lead vocal, because there's a lot of cool instrumentation going on with that song. I just felt like the vocal needed a little bit more help, just because of everything else that was going on. But wow, that was a heck of a song. I'm glad we got a chance to listen to it. The Vokes, which is vocals, cool kid talk for vocals. Defo, which means definitely, needs some harmonies. And for those that don't know, less than 3 is like a heart. THX is thanks. And DUD, he was not calling me a dud. He was saying thanks, dude. So, translation for you guys that are not as cool as we are. Also, Sky Drftr, pronounced like Sky Drifter. Surgeon General. You're the Surgeon General? Dang. All right, VC Muse with Endless Looping. Oh, you're not the Surgeon General. Okay, I guess I can listen then.
Every day just is the same. It feels like I'm wasting away. Oh, my life is a feedback loop.
So we have a little bit of a off timing for the vocals with the tempo. Probably a little bit of latency when you were recording. It happens. Thank you for the panda. I do appreciate that. Hey, and we also got a new follow. Thank you for that. Collecting everybody to listen to everybody's music. The more the merrier. So yeah, good vibes. I really like your voice, and I really like the beat that had. It felt good. I just think that there was a little bit of off timing with the vocals in the rest of the song. I'm not sure why, but this came up in another comment recently, and I mean, a good friend of mine was even playing around. He's a really good guitarist with a lot of experience, and didn't realize that when you're recording, you can go into your DAW and you can change your bit rate. And so the smaller the bit rate, the less of a delay that you're going to have from what you hear to what you're recording. And so that's usually the case with some people, is they just don't realize that you can change those settings in your DAW. Always give it a second listen, make sure that you're lining up, because the thing that's going to hurt your song the most is when things are out of time. And they don't all have to be perfect, but vocals need to sit in there really, really well. Pretty sure the offbeat on the vocals is because we were on 2 separate DAWs. Yep, that could be the case. Something could have changed during the transfer of stems. I feel like that's the most common thing that would cause that to happen. So it happened, and I wish it didn't, but in the process of mixing and before it's released, be listening for little things like that. That's what you're listening for. You can go in there and you can just scoot over the vocal stems so that they are lining up. Pretty easy fix to do that. But I really like the vocals. Again, like seems to be the theme of the day is some more harmonies would have just supported the vocals even more. But I like the song. I like the vibes. I like the instruments. Those are just my couple of takeaways for you. Yeah, anything I can do to help you guys, I will. I've got a lot of stuff, like a lot of thoughts in my head on how to help. I just don't know. Give me a little bit of time and I'll start rolling things out. So we've already got a YouTube for the replays. We've already got a DistroKid affiliate link for those that need a distribution service. We already have a submission form for Devin song reviews that's going to force people to take one extra step to make it a little bit harder on them, so I know who's really serious about having their songs reviewed. And so yeah, just this weekend, 3 big things that were on my list to do. So there will be more. One of the things that will be happening in the future is people seem to want to send me their music before it's released, so I can, help them sort of push out a new release. Thank you for the donut. Nom, 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 nom. So I will make it very easy for people, if you want me to listen to your music before it's released or whatever, it's in the works to make that easy and good for artists who are releasing music. All right, Lukas, Jassak, I think I'm saying that best I can, with a song called Silhouette. Hey, Lukas. It says, please rip it apart. I will if I need to. I don't think I ever need to.
Another day, another dawn. Wake up again and I remember that you're gone.
Nice, I got it right.
1,000 years to just move on. You took off down a path that I had drawn. I know it's for the best. That doesn't mean that it hurts any less. Now when I look, I see is a silhouette of a person that I once knew. Now it's hopeless. Now I wish I could turn back the hands of time to when we gaze at the stars in my Chevrolet, holding hands in the parking lot before the matinee. When we looked in our eyes and we saw the same thing.
So I want you to listen at how the reverb is being used on this. It's done so well in that I feel like all of the instruments are coming from the same room. This is what I talk about when having reverb. Make sure everything sounds like it's collectively in the same room. This is being done well.
Now time's the only thing I have left to blame. Change came and blew out our beloved flame. I gave it my best.
I feel like the bass is a little too out front. I would sit that back a little bit.
The one who's hurting less. Now when I look, I see it's a silhouette of a person that I once knew. Now it's hopeless. Now I wish I could turn back the hands of time.
Yeah, because that snare hit has that long reverb tail to it. And so when the bass doesn't sound like it's like blunt. The bass sounds like it's right up in front of me, and it just doesn't fit with the drum kit. Cut the bass out of this part altogether. I would not have the bass guitar going right here. Well, dadgummit, you asked me to rip it apart, and I'm having a hard time figuring out how to do that. It was all garbage, and you throw it away, and then just give it to me, and it'll be fine. No, I think what I I think what I said is really all I got for you throughout the song. There is. You did a great job of what I talk about all the time, and have it sound like things are in the same room. I feel like it's so important. So there was a lot of reverb on this song, and you have to be careful with that, but it worked because I felt like I was a music major for like one semester before I was like, I hate everything about this. But we were required to sit and listen to recitals like once a week or twice a week. And so listening to that song made me feel like I was sitting in the rehearsal hall listening to somebody play that song. So you got it right, which is a hard thing to do most of the time. And so you got that right. I just would have pulled the bass back a good bit. And I would have dropped out the bass guitar there at the end and just let the strings and the piano just take it over for the rest of it. Because what that does is it takes away, bass, those lower frequencies were making me feel very comfortable. And then to end it, if you just wanted to make it feel thin on purpose, you just take the bass out and just let those higher frequency strings just sit there. And it would be like really warm, and then all of a sudden like, oh, okay, you're taking it away from me, and now the song's over. But yeah, really cool song. So I don't know why anybody would pick that apart. I think it was great. Do you review unreleased? I don't yet, but I will be. So stay tuned. Make sure to give me a follow if you're not already. Here probably by next weekend, I will give some more information about how people can submit their music to be reviewed before it's released. But I'm also bringing in some help on this. So rather than me just review it, there's going to be some opportunity to really, if you want to market your release of your new song, so that you can start working on your next song or whatever you want to do. I'm going to create the option to have some of that taken out of your hands if you want, and rely on some people that I'm pretty close with on helping you sort of market your music, get it in the right hands before it's released, so that you're better set up for release day. More people will know about it, and the more people that know about it and play you on the release day, the more likely more people are going to hear it. What's up, Michael? Thanks for the loudspeaker. So we got some things in the works. So yeah, you can put it in the submission form that's in my link tree in my bio. If you have something that's not released yet and you want me to listen to it, that's a good way to contact me outside of just TikTok direct message. So that is linked to my email address. And so we can get in touch via email if you want me to listen to something before it's released. All right. Yeah, I think we've got time for one more, and Connor's giving me Meryl Pine with Surgeon General, who he's not actually the Surgeon General, just so y'all know. He told me that. He told me that in secret, but I'll tell you guys now. It's just a song about the Surgeon General, so he's just a general surgeon. Oh God. Okay. So this will be the last one we listen to, and then we'll wrap it up. And if y'all have any questions about mixing, songwriting, like anything that maybe I can answer, go ahead and drop those questions in the comments while we're listening to this last song. We'll spend 10 minutes or so answering questions, doing a little Q&A, and then we'll wrap it up and get on with the final parts of our weekend. So Meryl Pine with Surgeon General, but I'm just a general surgeon. So I feel like the guitar is a little too far forward. I like the shuffling of the song though. The vocals are really cool vibe for it. So I got another example of the guitar is a little muddy because of the distortion. Probably needed to put in a high pass filter, take out some of the lows of that distortion just to clean it up. Very good use of the double vocal. As we're actually using that, we want that to be a little bit different rather than it lining up perfectly, because that's an effect that's being used to get this sound. Hey Arizona Lindsay, thanks for dropping in. I think I got a chance to listen to your music this morning, so join us next weekend, and so we can review it live. And thanks for the support. I'm a sucker for puns and bass lines. So again, I think a little bit of a high pass filter here, take out some of those lower lows. Now I don't feel like the bass guitar and the drums are level matched the way they should be. I feel like the bass is a little too far up. Thank you for the rose. Right on. Really cool song. I think I gave you most of what I would have to say to critique the song during the song. I think the song is really cool. I just think mix wise, clean it up a little bit, get rid of some of that lingering low end, and all that does is, you know, you're not taking away from anything by, you know, doing subtractive EQ is doing it with purpose. You're not taking away anything from the song. You're allowing the good frequencies to use up the space. And so when it's taking away something, but it's actually just cleaning it up and allowing the good frequencies to shine, and you don't want bad frequencies in there muddying things up. So I think just you know, those couple of things that I mentioned, and just an overall you know, get the mix a little bit cleaner, and it's just going to allow the song to sound even better than it already did. So, but yeah, I like it. Very cool vibe, very cool tone, like the vocals, and yeah, just a couple things you can work on. All right, so for the last 10 minutes or so of this, I will answer a few questions. And we had acceptable ways to bury a bad vocal. That's my big Q, which is short for question, all you cool cats out there. So there is no acceptable way to bury a bad vocal, is the easy answer. If it's a bad vocal, it's a bad vocal. There's not a whole lot you can do. Now, personally, you know, I don't think my vocals are bad. I know I'm not a, you know, world-leading singer or anything. I think I can carry a tune and I can do what I need to. But I do have some ways of compensating for not having a super great singing voice, and that is harmonies and vocal doubles. So what a vocal double does is you have your main vocal and you have a vocal double. A vocal double is not a copy paste from your original vocal. It is, you recorded it twice, and there's going to be different nuances throughout the vocal. What that does is you have your best take that is going to be a compilation of a lot of your vocals, you know, vocal comp. And usually my second vocal, I've done my vocal comp, I've done my vocal tuning on my vocal comp, and then I record another one, you know, listening very low and listening to the, you know, the vocal tuned really good main vocal, and I record it again, and then that doubled vocal now gets brought into the mix very low. But what it does is it strengthens the main vocal, because even though you don't really pick up on it when you're listening to the song, there's a second vocal that's there. Now the timing needs to be correct, so it doesn't stand out too much, but it's not a whole lot of volume to that vocal double. But it just strengthens the main vocal. And so don't try to hide a bad vocal. Just try to support it with some harmonies, support it with a vocal double, and don't tuck it away. You just gotta get it. This is the hardest part of mixing your own vocals and producing your own vocals, is that your voice sounds differently in your head than it does to other people. So when you record, you're hearing what other people are hearing, and we tend to screw up our vocals because we're trying to get the recorded vocals to sound like what we hear ourselves when we speak. And then you just end up screwing everything up. At the end of the day, I would rather you release music and it not be perfect than you never release music because you can't get it perfect. So we're going to go ahead and end it there. I just wanted to say how much I appreciate everybody that has been hanging out here. I appreciate all of the musicians that are submitting their music. I'm continuing to define where I'm going to go with this, because I don't want it to just stop with music reviews. The amount of feedback I've gotten has been astronomical. You know, independent musicians just want somebody to listen to them. And I am but one person, so I can't listen to everything and do reviews for everything. But the wheels are turning, and I'm finding that if I can make a positive effect on any independent musician, I will do so, and I will continue to figure out ways to get some of this really awesome music to more and more people, because there's a lot of musicians that are just completely slept on, and I want to find a way to get them in front of more people, and encourage everybody to continue making music, keep releasing music. Hopefully the feedback that I'm giving will be something that sticks with you, and you at least try it the next time that you're recording or mixing something. You know, my way of doing things is not always the right way of doing things. If anybody tells you that it's their way or the highway, it's just all of the music would sound exactly alike. So we don't want that. I'm just giving you my opinion and my take on things. I'm trying to keep it to like basic principles rather than like specific mixing and producing ways of doing things. So, you know, try what I'm recommending, but I'm not the end all here. Keep experimenting, keep trying new things, and let me know what happens. But if anybody gets better at mixing because of my time being spent sharing my experience, then I've done a good job. So until next week, I'll catch y'all on the flippity flop. Go check out my link tree in my bio if you want some more information about some of this stuff. And, you know, look out for some more videos. Make sure you're interacting with the review videos and following musicians that you've heard today that you like. And make sure to spread the support. So, Devin's Song Reviews Live number 4. Out.